the Nurmagomedovs, in many ways, might be the next Gracies. And I don't believe that anybody will ever surpass the Gracie family in the ultimate hierarchy of mixed martial arts. They just did too much, and they just did it at the right time. And yeah, there was a lot of them, and they're still coming through. They're still coming. Second and third generations are still coming through. I don't know that I believe that anybody will ever surpass them, even if they have the numbers on their side. If the Gracies have 20 family members that fought, and this family has 40 family members, I don't know that you could ever surpass the Gracies, but let's look at what the next best thing might be. If you're talking about power and numbers, and you're talking about bloodline, and it would seem that Nurmagomedov are right there in line to be number 2 for MMA family royalty. I bring this up because Khabib's younger brother was just signed, and Khabib's cousin is already signed. Now, I knew there was another Nurmagomedov within the UFC, but I didn't know that was a relation to Khabib. I didn't find that out until earlier in the day when I read the article. I don't know if the name Nurmagomedov out of Dagestan or even Russia is a very common name. It's a Smith, it's a Jones, to put it in American terms. I don't know. So when I see a Nurmagomedov, but nobody has told me it's related to Khabib, I then assume it's not related to Khabib, because if it were, they would have made the claim, I'm related to Khabib, of which his cousin did not do. But now we've also got a brother in there. And I do think that it's very interesting. I mean, look, if you draw a guy from Dagestan, you're in for a hard night. If you draw a Russian fighter, you're in for a hard night. And that goes to any sport. The Russians just take sport very, very serious as a culture, as a country. It's a very real thing that they win the medal count at the Olympics. It's a very, very real thing to a number of powerful countries. And quite frankly, America's on that list too. We have tremendous funding that most of you probably don't even know about that goes into our Olympic athletes through something known as the United States Olympic Committee. Tremendous funding. Our leaders for the longest time, their leaders for the longest of time, believe it is a sign of military might. If you can prove we have the best athletes, you believe, accurately or falsely, that the rest of the world will then perceive you as great competitors and as fierce warriors, and therefore, stay out of our way. Don't get in our mix. If we can do this unarmed, imagine what we can do armed. I don't know if I even agree with that psychology or philosophy. I don't know if I've ever looked at a battle between countries in the history of time and then reflected back to their medal count. I can just share with you there are countries that at least have that philosophy. Russia being one of them. America being one of them. China being one of them. Cuba being one of them. Just by example. Iran being one of them, who really take sport serious. So now if you're drawing a Russian, if you're drawing a Dagestani, or if you're drawing a Nurmagomedov, I realize don't read a book by its cover. Well, sometimes you do need to. Sometimes you need to read the clues, okay? Not saying you can't. Best of luck to you. Not saying you can't go out there and get over on them. I'm just suggesting for you that if you have those 3 clues, you can reasonably come to a conclusion of, got a tough night in front of me. And that's the same reputation the Gracies have been running on from day one. If you draw a Gracie in any organization, it could be from grappling to mixed martial arts, it could be from Bellator to ONE to the UFC to the PFL, any organization, if the last name is Gracie, there is a respect that comes along with that, but that respect comes through intelligence. You're intelligent enough to know this matters, and the family only puts forward who they believe is going to come back with a trophy. We are not out here for experience, we are not out here for a good time, and we are not out here for participation. There are some people, if you want to make that nationalistic, there are some peoples that are only playing to win. And I do think that it's a little bit fun, quite frankly. I do think that it's a little bit wrong that I had to find out today through research on my own that the other Nurmagomedov within the organization is Khabib's cousin. That should have been something that was advertised. And I know what people are thinking. How do you think it wasn't advertised? We read his name. It's the same name. Yeah, that's true for the Gracies. But I think that I'm very reasonable to just not know. Not know. Is Nurmagomedov a really common name? I don't know. I thought that it was. I thought it was common enough that we got 2 fighters out of the same area that have absolutely no relation. I drew that conclusion because nobody. Now there's 3 Nurmagomedovs with the old man coaching them all and in their corner. I mean, it's a family affair. It's very serious business. I think it's very fun. I'm glad the Gracies are still around. But now that we know that they're related, and now we know that the third one, younger brother, just got signed. I mean, come on, you guys know families. Who's usually the toughest one? Who usually does the best, older brother or younger brother? You ask the family, it's always older brother. That's a syndrome. But who? Oh! Whoa!